different kind of episode this week.
Yes.
We are going to run down cost of ownership, I think. Is that what we're
Yes.
doing?
Yes, for my car.
Yeah. So you have, what do you have? We're going to do this on the brand new
2019
2019. Wow.
Model
You
3
need a,
SR Plus. Yeah.
you need a new car.
Yeah,
What's up with
maybe.
that?
Except that, well, anyway, we'll get to that.
I'm Phil Royle. I realized after last week's episode, I don't ever say anymore because I just got tired of doing an introduction for myself, and I got tired of saying however many years of experience in the automotive industry, whatever. You can go and listen to other episodes. I'm doing it again. I'm just breezing over it. I came up from the magazine biz, if that tells you anything. So
In the Paleolithic era.
yes, where we chopped down trees and we made import tuning magazines. Not import tuner, I didn't work on that one, but it was import tuning magazine.
This is pre-doom scrolling.
Yeah. Well, it was around, I guess forums were pretty big because a lot of people on forums
Yeah.
told me to go and kill myself back then. So now they do it on social media and there's like rules and requirements. Anyway, the point being, I've been doing this for a while. Also, youtube.com/ at the What Car, you can see our smiling faces. And then thewhatcar.com/ nothing. And you can look at our blog that doesn't get much of any attention anymore.
All right, my turn. Ed Sanchez, owner of a brand new 6-year-old Tesla Model 3, as we are about to get into.
Original owner of a brand new 2019.
Original owner. Let's see, gosh, 4+ years as a podcaster. I guess that's the new hotness, the new old
Yep.
hotness. I don't know. Anyway, been enjoying doing this with Philip. I know we have a small but enthusiastic audience, I'd like to think.
Tiny but
So
mighty.
tiny but mighty, like that. Anyway, I hope you've been enjoying this journey with us. More to come. We got some stuff cooking in the background, but sometimes these things take a little more time to kind of coalesce than expected. But anyway,
Sometimes they've happened and then at the last second they don't.
they don't. Or sometimes they happen after kind of being on the back burner for months, and then all of a sudden, like, boom.
Boom, here we are.
So anyway, but let's get into it today.
Yeah, so this idea came around. I've read so many blogs and whatever that's like, here's my real ownership cost. And I'm like, I don't really know if any of that's true, whatever. I know somebody with one of these. Tell me what the cost of ownership is. Because so not to get political,
Uh-oh.
but
But you're about to.
I'm about to. I live in California, you live in California, and a lot of people are like, oh, California is so expensive. You should go and live in Texas, where I've lived. Or you should go and live in Florida, where I've got family members. And they have no income tax and yada yada yada. And I'm like, I'll give you California's more expensive to live in. But at the same time, the government's going to get its money. You may
Mhm.
not think it's getting its money because they're not charging you this tax. But guess what?
Mhm.
They're charging you this amount on this, which
Yeah.
is more. You are getting the blood sucked out of you one way or the other.
Yeah.
So to bring that back to EVs, I don't have an EV. Why am I on this podcast? I'm leaving. So my opinion has always kind of been through like as fuel fluctuates, and I've known people that have gone out and bought like a
Yeah.
cheap car as price of fuel goes up, and it's like it's always cheaper to drive the vehicle you have, no matter what. It's
Yep.
always cheaper. Don't go and buy a new car. Don't spend $50,000 on a car that gets
Yeah, don't
like
buy a new car to save money.
yes, that the math doesn't math on that. But I've never worked out on an EV what the cost of ownership is. Now, your cost is going to be slightly different because my cars are older because I do drive cars until they're in the ground. Like my newest car is a 2011 and my oldest street driven car is a 99. So like I drive old cars at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
The idea of spending $50,000 on an EV, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to save any of that money. I got kids. I got
Yeah.
I got other commitments. I've looked at used ones, but I'm not quite ready to bite on the used market, especially
Mhm.
coming out of COVID. Like that was nuts. Though you'd
Mhm.
be crazy if you bought a car coming out of COVID. But now the prices are all kind of dropping down. And once again, I'm looking at, okay, you know, maybe the next used car I get is something like your car. Maybe it
Yeah.
is a 2019. So what is it going to cost me though? Like what's your that's what I wanted to know.
Okay. Well,
Convince me, Ed.
so
Make me buy your car. That's what this episode
yeah.
is will I buy your car?
So Phil tasked me with trying to put together as detailed a like cost summary as possible about my car. So I went back through the Wayback Machine, tried to add up everything I could think of off the top of my head, and kind of going back like, as the saying goes, soup to nuts. I don't know if you've heard that, but like as
It's a
much,
very common EV expression.
yes. So kind of, everybody in the pool, what does this cost? And also a little bit of a comparison um, to an ICE internal combustion vehicle. What's more expensive? This and that. I guess I'll just go through it line by line.
Mm-hmm.
So my biggest single expense by far in terms of category, other than the purchase price itself. Well, no, I take that back, because if you go down the list, you'll see there's another one that no, because no, I only had to do that once. So never mind. Back to my original premise.
You're like, why do I own this piece of crap? Wait a
No,
minute.
is tires.
Yeah.
So a couple of reasons for that is, even though I have the SR Plus, which is kind of the base model, I would I would still, and we could get into this in terms of definitions. I would still consider the Model 3 kind of entry level sports sedan.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a step up, I'd say, from like a Camry, Altima, generally in terms of specifications,
Not
equipment,
size.
capability. No, but well,
You look at
yeah. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's the difference between, like, say, a Passat and a 3 Series, I guess, kind of.
sure.
I don't know. Anyway, so some of the equipment and, I guess, consumables, if you want to call it that, or what might be a little more expensive than like an equivalent, kind of bread and butter mid-size sedan.
Yeah.
So one of those things, one of the big items, really with any car, but especially with EVs, we'll get into this, is tires. So I've gone through 3 sets of tires in 82,000 miles. Now, the length of time between those tire changes has changed, because I've changed specs and brands of tires each time, in a quest to lengthen that period. Um, so the original equipment on this, I believe, were Michelin. I don't know if they were Pilot Sports. That might have been the performance model, but they were Michelin tires, which is well known. I'd say more of a premium tire brand, generally a little more expensive. Um, and they had a UTQG. I can't remember how much we've discussed about this on the podcast, but it's a tire wear rating. So the higher the number, the longer they're expected to last. So
Generally, yes.
generally,
Yeah. So a
so
performance like what's very popular track days, autocross, everything is 200 UTQG.
yeah, which for
Like
street tire is pretty low.
pretty low. If you get into performance like Toyos, I think they're R's or they're double R's. One of
Mhm.
those might be a 40. And then you get to some
Or
that just aren't
zero.
rated. Yeah, you get to some. I don't know what my Hoosiers
Okay, yeah,
are. If I don't think they're 40, I think they're just not. I'd have
not
to look it
rated.
up. I think they have to
Zero.
have actually a UTQG rating um, to be
Okay,
DOT tires.
gotcha.
But
Yeah.
yeah. So
So
okay.
anyway,
So
my
200
original,
is a high performance
yeah.
street
So
tire
my original
summer.
equipment, memory serves me correctly, I think they were Michelin. They were 500, which is pretty common for kind of an all season touring type tire. Um, and those started showing signs of significant wear at 16,000 miles, which I was like, what? I was kind of surprised by that. Um, so I had to replace those a lot sooner than I was expecting. So so I replaced those with some Continentals with the 700 UTQG, and those held up much better. I think think I probably got about 30,000 out of those, which, in the greater scheme of things, you'd say, wow, that's still not very good, but it's almost double what my first set was. So I actually put two sets of those on of the, it was the Pure Contact, um, was the 700 UTQG. And then the latest set I put on were also Continentals, but the ones I just put on were 840, which is almost the highest TQG you can get. I think the highest currently on the market is 860, and I can't remember.
Yeah, I've had like close to 700 UTKG. I can't even imagine. Those had no
Yeah.
traction in the rain over a paint stripe.
Uh-huh.
If you accelerated, you just spin the tires. Like it
Yeah.
was not even accelerating fast. Just
Uh-huh.
like they're so hard.
So that was one of my concerns about these is like, are these going to be completely useless on the wet, and is it going to be like totally slip slidey?
Yeah.
They actually, I think, have pretty decent grip. I haven't driven them extensively in the rain, but they haven't felt like slippery or unsure. So, I don't know what kind of alchemy Continental's doing, but somehow they've managed to have a high UTQG and fairly good grip. I mean,
Yeah.
not as good as like an ultra performance tire, but still pretty good.
UTQG is largely a made up number by manufacturers to
Yeah, it's kind of on the
arbitrarily,
honor system
yeah, very
somewhat.
much so. So there are tires like, for example, because my bailiwick is performance cars and
Hmm.
whatever, is there were tires when everybody was going to a 200 tread wear tire, all the clubs and everything were requiring 200 tread wear tire. Before that, there was one club that was requiring, it was like 140 tread wear, and there was a
Hmm.
tire that was rated at 140 or 160, whatever that tire rating was. And then the bar got moved and everybody said, oh, it's got to be 200 tread wear, not 140.
Hmm. Hmm.
So guess what tread wear that tire had the next year?
200.
Now there is testing and they don't want to fall victim to like the feds coming in and investigating,
Yeah.
but it's still they had like 140 stamped on the tire and the next year it was 200. So very easily UTQG and traction are not necessarily a one to
No.
one, but it is an indicator
So
of
my
that.
anecdotally, what I've been told about UTQG is it's mainly an internal yardstick for that brand. So basically, the UTQG per brand is relative to its lineup of tires. So let's say, I mean, Continental's a pretty big company. They probably have track or performance tires. So they probably have some 200s, some 400s. I know they have a lot of 500s. 500 is a very common
Yeah.
UTQG. That kind of indicates mid-high range for tread wear up to 700, 800. So it's not necessarily one-to-one correlation across brands, but it's like within that brand's lineup, this is where this tire is in the hierarchy. So among Continental's tires, this is one of the highest in terms of
Mm.
tread life. Anyway, long story short, it's been on average probably about $1,200 each time for all four. So that if you do the math on that, including installation and other bell and whistle add-ons, that's about $300 a tire. So anyway, so we'll call that $3,600 for the tire changes over 82,000 miles.
Which
Some may think that's high. It is what it
are
is.
your tires nearly done at this point? Like, because if I take 82,000 miles and divide it by three, then that gets to like 27,000 miles. And when I just pulled up my chart for my Kia
Hmm.
Optima, my tires are due for changing, and that was almost on the nose 30,000 miles ago.
Hmm.
So it's not that far off
Yeah.
of
Yeah, but at the
other
same
vehicles.
time, I mean, I don't know what the UTQG is on the Optimus tires, but
I
I've
actually I don't have them on this time. I bought some cheap like US General tires, but the ones before were like EV distance tires that I put
so
on.
they're like eco blah blah
Yeah, they were
whatever.
designed
Okay.
for an EV, similar tire size, and I got that, and it actually bumped up my fuel economy
No,
by like I think it might have gone up upwards of 2 miles per gallon on the freeway.
that's pretty good.
It was a pretty big.
Yeah.
Now those were the ones that could not, for the life of them, could not get traction in the rain.
Yeah.
But they sure helped. I mean, Southern California, what is that, 1 day a year? I got to worry about that. It's just not an issue.
Yeah.
I'm not concerned. I'm not losing sleep over that. If I lived in Maine, totally different scenario on this. But yeah, no, it's they decreased rolling resistance does not necessarily mean decreased traction, but it is
Yeah.
an indicator.
So yeah, to your point though, I'm hoping, I mean, me, Mr. Fancy, new shiny thing, I gotta
Hmm.
have the latest and greatest. I'm
When your
hoping
MATS arrives. Yeah.
exactly my Sapphire. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I'm hoping this will be the last set of tires for this car that I own it. Maybe not, maybe one more, but I'm thinking with the 840 UTQG, I'm hoping these will go 25, 30,000 miles.
Yeah.
And
I think that's a
by that
reasonable
time,
amount.
yeah.
Now, I had a Corolla for years,
Hmm.
over
Hmm.
300,000 miles on that Corolla. I could make a set of tires last 100,000 miles on that car. But the difference is that car weighed just a hair over 2,600 pounds.
Hmm.
There was no weight in the back, and it was
Hmm.
all freeway commuting. And
Hmm.
then I put on larger tires. I did
Hmm.
17s off of an FRS because whatever, I'm a nerd.
Hmm.
And so you've got increased rolling diameter, you've got a
Hmm.
wider width. Everything
Hmm.
was kind of getting me toward longer distance, and you could.
Hmm.
It was crazy. Here
Hmm.
we're talking stock size. You've got stock size. I got stock
Hmm.
size on
Hmm.
my Kia. There are tricks you could do.
Hmm. So
But yeah, I don't think that's bad. I don't think 30,000 miles out of a set of tires is unreasonable. I think 100,000 miles out of my Corolla was,
it's edge case.
yeah, was very much an egg case, and I could not repeat it now because I'm not a super commuter
Yeah.
now.
So anyway,
Yeah,
so for all
let's move
that's
on
worth,
to.
yeah.
We spent
Let's see,
15 minutes
going
on
on.
tires.
Exactly. Charge port door, I was initially having some issues with that. It was being kind of wonky. They came out to my house, replaced that under warranty. I don't know what the out of warranty costs on that. I'd imagine like $200 or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. I've gone through two 12-volt batteries. So EVs still have like a high voltage and low voltage system. Um, most are still now the Cybertruck is 48 volt, but most EVs are still 12 volt for the low voltage, which is basically cabin, infotainment, kind of accessory stuff, and high voltage is for the motor and powertrain. So anyway, um,
I would say two batteries is a lot for a 2019, considering it's 2025.
yeah, I mean, one, it gave me the warning. The other time they replaced it is when I went in for my HW3, which I didn't. Well, we can get to that later. The hardware 3 upgrade, which you
Mhm.
think is me flinching money down the toilet, which anyway. Um,
Which you might have
uh,
come around to my side on
yeah.
that.
Um, while they were doing the update, I guess the update drew so much power it killed the battery, which I was already at that point on the second battery, and it killed that one. And just as a courtesy, they replaced it because they said, hey, they did it while it was under our custody. We'll just give you a new one. Um,
That's
so
crazy.
yeah, so whatever. It's like okay, cool. Um, so supposedly, and the only reason I know this is I recently replaced the battery on my mom's. She's got a 2012 Infiniti G37, and I went to O'Reilly to get a battery. It was almost $300 off the shelf. And I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Supposedly the for my car from the Tesla service center is only $86, which is
What?
kind of dirt cheap for a
Oh,
12 volt.
actually, yes, because I don't know anything about Tesla batteries. So once again,
Hmm.
I've said this on previous podcasts. I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's not going to stop me from saying my opinion. There is no requirement for there is no cranking amps requirement. I mean, there will be a requirement of
Yeah.
the output of the battery in order to get the BMS to start and all the stuff. There's that. But like you don't need 350 cranking amps
No, because there
for
is
an
no
EV.
cranking.
There's no cranking. So you could
Yeah.
go with a much smaller battery. And I have not seen a Tesla
Hmm.
12 volt battery, but I'm going to guess it's like motorcycle size, that it's not like class
Uh,
35, that it's not the huge battery.
s- so mine, I have seen it. It's pretty standard size. I
Is
would
it
say
really?
it probably looks like something you'd find in like a Corolla or Sentra or something. It's pretty conventional looking.
Wow.
The newer ones have gone to a lithium ion 12 volt. So
Yeah.
that's smaller and lighter and whatnot. But I think through, I want to say 2020 or 2021, they have the conventional lead acid 12 volts. Anyway, the good thing for me is those are exceptionally cheap, even through the Tesla Service
It's
Center.
got to be due to cranking amp
I,
requirements, though. It's
I don't
got
know.
to be
So
because
anyway,
if you want high cranking amps, you got to pay a lot of money for that.
mhm. Yeah, and like you said on EV, you don't really
Yeah.
need that.
So they
So
could, even if it's the same physical size, they could be
mhm,
going with a battery that does not have the output
mhm.
that the others do. Maybe it's, yeah. I'm trying to look up
Anyway,
pictures of one. They are a
uh,
little smaller. They're like Honda size.
now is that the
Not,
lithium or the lead acids?
I'm just looking at, it's hard to tell. I'm just looking at Google Images, but they're like Honda size. Honda size is, it's a little narrower. I actually
Mhm,
run one in my race car. I run
mhm,
an Optima for a Honda, and
mhm,
it's a narrower than a
mhm.
standard like Group 35 battery. It's
Yeah, but
the
it's
Optima's
I
a
mean,
little
but it's
taller, but
fairly
it's narrower.
conventional though.
Yeah, it is from what I'm seeing, it's a little bit smaller, and that's why it would be a little cheaper. Plus the, I mean, not that's why, but it's got to be the crank amps.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Anyway, so they're fairly cheap. If I have to replace another one on my own, I'll probably just get one on my own and do it myself. Anyway, uh, so side repeater. So this was an interesting one. So I think you remember because I talked to you about this. So it has the side repeater. So there are 8 cameras total around the car. 2 of them are in the little flashers. It's got a built-in like the
Hmm.
side repeaters plus the cameras together. And this really wasn't an issue until Tesla activated the camera view. Because when I first got my car, when you turn on the turn signal, there was no change on the display or anything. It was
I
just,
remember this. Yeah,
and then all of a sudden they activated the side, which I liked because I think Subaru was one of the early adopters of this, or no, not Subaru, Honda,
yeah. No,
where
I had a
when you,
Civic that did. You'd
mhm.
indicate, and it would show the
it,
right
was
side.
basically a
Yeah,
blind spot camera.
yeah. It was
And
great.
and during the day I thought, oh, this is really cool. This is a really handy feature. However, at night, uh, and what's interesting is reading on some forums, this is actually an internal light leak. It wasn't. I thought it was just like a reflection from the outside. No, it's internal. I guess the ceiling and the circuitry was kind of you know some inadvertent crosstalk. Anyway,
It'd blow out the
yeah,
image.
it basically
Yeah.
blew out the image. So every time the flasher went on, it would just like it would just like just flash of white on the screen. I'm like, that's really annoying.
Yeah.
So again, went on the interwebs. Some people claim they were able to get Tesla to cover it under warranty, and because I guess they made enough of a stink about it that Tesla's just like, well, fine, go away. I tried to do that. They said no. They
Because
said
it go away.
they told me to go away.
Yeah.
So they said no. These are actually working as intended. Which I'm like, okay. Um, and they said we'll do it for 250 to replace the 2 of them. And with the newer model that didn't have the light leak issue, I was like, I thought that was reasonable enough. So I'm like, yeah, go ahead and do it.
A lot of the things that you spend your money on, I'm like, why in the world have you done that? I would have spent the 250 on that. 100%.
No,
I
because
would have been
it made a noticeable difference in the functionality. It got rid of the light
those
flare
blind spot
issue.
cameras,
Yeah,
like that Honda, it was like a game changer
yeah,
having that. That is like a requirement on a new car for me.
yeah. So I don't regret spending the money on that. I think it was well worth it. Took care of the issue. Anyway, so there's that. See, brake pads. I still have the original brake pads, front and rear, original pads, original rotors.
That's impressive.
Yeah, thickness still looks really good. Um, a lot of that comes back to the regenerative braking. Um, so generally, while driving, I don't have to apply the brake until I'd say maybe the last like 50 yards coming up to a light. Otherwise, the motor just kind of slows the car down. And I just kind of gently
Yep.
have to apply a little bit of pressure.
I did an
Um,
article. You can search for the What Car. I did an article on regenerative braking, which does sound a bit like, why would you do an article on that? But it's interesting because Teslas, unless I'm completely mistaken on my memory here, Teslas, I don't know the modern, like the new ones, but like your car, if you got on the brake pedal, it would use physical brakes. But if you use one
mhm,
pedal braking, it uses regenerative braking.
mhm,
Porsche does it the other way. And if you get on the brakes on a Taycan, then when you hit the brakes, it does regenerative until it needs an assist on top of that. They do a different way,
mhm,
but
mhm.
Porsche doesn't do regenerative braking like one pedal braking. one pedal
Mm-hmm.
driving.
Mm-hmm.
So they've gone the complete opposite way of what Tesla's
Mm-hmm.
gone. So because you do one pedal driving, you're using regenerative more than whereas I don't like one pedal driving on the EVs that I've
Mm-hmm.
tested. So
Mm-hmm.
I've tried if the car allows it, turned off, turned on, and I prefer. I think it's from habit. I think I get
Yeah.
used to it, but right now I prefer using the brake pedal and
Mm-hmm.
not one pedal
Well,
driving. And on a Tesla like yours, I
mhm.
would go through brakes more, even if I was a more careful driver,
Just out of habit.
just because the car would be using its physical brakes more. So learn
Mm-hmm.
what your car is. It's a long
Mm-hmm.
story here.
Yeah.
Learn what your car uses if you want to be easy on the components.
Mm-hmm.
If your car does regenerative braking when you do one pedal driving and not regenerative when you don't do one pedal when you're getting
Mm-hmm.
on the physical brakes, you might want to change the way you set up,
Mm-hmm.
your
Well, the
life.
other thing too, I'd add, and the nice thing about, I think probably a lot of EVs have this, but Teslas especially, you can customize a lot of the settings.
Yep.
So one of the settings I have is what they call creep mode. So it emulates. Hey, 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 careful. Um, it emulates a conventional automatic in that if you let off the brake at low speeds, it'll kind of creep forward. Whereas one of the modes, if you let off the throttle, it'll come to a dead stop. But I found it's easier to maneuver at low speeds, like backing out of parking spaces, low speed maneuvering. It's easier to modulate with that a little, where it automatically kind of goes a little bit and you modulate it with the brake rather than having to do the throttle every time. I found that was kind of,
It is a lot easier to creep in life than it is not to creep.
anyway. That's neither here nor there, but uh,
All right.
I find it just more familiar, easier to. So I have that on, but
Yeah.
you know,
Wiper
mhm.
blades, you say $50 a set?
Yeah. So 20, they're 25 each.
Ah, I guess that's about right. I cheap out. I just bought some wiper blades and I spent $15, but I bought the cheapest thing and the next level
Mhm.
up was like 20 and then 25. So yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that not
Yeah.
exorbitant. Again, real easy DIY. Pop them in, pop them out. Cabin air filters, $30 a set. I've replaced those twice, so $60. Okay, this next one, you really ribbed me pretty good on blowing my money on this. And granted, this was a discretionary purchase, so consider this purely optional. I got the puddle lamps that spell out the Tesla logo when you open the door. And you said, "Oh my God, that's the biggest waste of money.
They
They're
didn't have them that just said
stupid."
Elon Musk.
With the salute. No, just kidding. Um, no, so I opted to do this again. Uh, the installation, the DIY installation was like literally pop out the old ones, pop in the new ones. I think they look cool. Are they worth $130? I don't know.
I
It's up to
mock
you.
it, but like the Mustang has the horse
Hmm.
puddle lamps. It is awesome.
Yeah,
Like it is. They are cool.
I don't know. I thought they were cool. I was like, sure, why not? Anyway, this okay. So this one was the biggie in terms of a single repair. This has been the biggest so far. So I noticed on my last tire change, they said you have really uneven wear front to rear. Um, and so most tire places they just slap on the new tires and
Yeah.
they don't care.
Give me my
This
money.
last place was actually pretty thorough and did an underbody inspection, inspected all the suspension components, and they said, yeah, your front bushings are completely shot. And evidently I found, I guess on the earlier Model 3s, this was kind of an issue of premature wear of these bushings. So anyway, had those replaced. It came out to over $1,600 on that,
Phew.
which I wasn't thrilled about. But it's
Yeah.
like, hopefully this is a one and done, something I won't have to do again.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, so that was done. Um, so now we're gonna start getting into fuel cost, and this is where it gets interesting and highly variable. Um, this will depend a lot on where you live, how much you pay for utilities, if you charge at home, if you predominantly use superchargers. Um, so I calculated my consumption. On average, it's coming out to 274 watt hours per mile. which on an MPGE basis, your favorite
Yeah, I
measurement,
love that. Love that.
comes out to about 123 MPG average. Um, so I would say roughly triple or quadruple uh, equivalent ice model. And if you're strictly by energy consumption, I know you can't really make a apples to apples correlation between energy consumption between ice and EVs because they're just kind of different animals. But for what that's worth, so again, I'm not a math major. You know, you can pillory me in the comments saying, "Oh, Ed, you don't know what you're talking about. Your math
Mhm.
is all off." Okay,
YouTube.com/, at the walk car.
yeah. Anyway, so this is my math on this. So this is 82,000 miles. Um, going by that consumption figure, I estimate I've consumed about 22,468 kilowatt hours over the time I've owned it. Um, so the figure I used kind of as an average, this includes DC fast charging, home charging, um, kind of an average of all types of charging. I'm estimating I paid an average about 35 kilowatt hours. Excuse me, 35 cents per kilowatt hour. That's all in, factoring everything in. Again, it's kind of a ballpark figure, but okay, going off that, I've spent just below $8,000 on fuel over 6 years, which I know seeing that figure right in front of you seems like, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But over 6 years, it's not crazy. Um, I know people with SUVs and stuff like that. I mean, you could probably say the same about your Super Duty. I'm sure you filled fill up has been more than $100 a tank on that
Oh,
sometimes.
yeah. Sometimes.
Sometimes. So really, that's really not all that bad. I estimate on an annual basis, my fuel cost is about $1,300. Um, so again, I didn't know what to compare that to. Um, for California, which has some of the highest gas prices in the U.S., supposedly the annual average is about $2,000 from what I could find online.
Hmm.
So lower than that. Um,
But it's not 50%. It's
no, no, it's. I mean, I don't know, whatever that is. It's like two-thirds
yeah, it's
or
60,
a third
65,
less rather.
40, 45%. I don't know.
Anyway,
It's good.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
significantly less.
It's
So
not a reason to spend 50,000 on a car. Your break even is many, like at the beginning where I was saying the answer, if you're looking to save money, the answer is not go and spend $50,000 on a car if the car that you've got is already fine. But if you were looking at, should I get this car or this car, and you are buying a car, that
yeah,
is significant. If you can save $700 a year
yeah, and fuel costs,
on fuel costs,
and
that is
and
something to average
and
in.
that is in California. If you live in like Washington State, or I mean, I'm trying to. I mean, I've heard of kilowatt hour rates as low as like 11 cents a kilowatt hour in some
Yeah.
places.
Well, the flip side to that is fuel is also usually pretty cheap in those things
Well,
too.
that's true. So it's kind of a
We pay,
sliding scale.
yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's a one-to-one kind of relationship or whatever, but here in California, we pay a lot for electricity, we pay a lot for
Yeah.
fuel. I would assume if you're not paying a lot for electricity, you're probably not paying a lot for fuel.
Yeah. But I think the delta is because even in like cheap states like Texas and, different places, I'd say now it's, I want to say like 250 a gallon. I'm just kind of throwing that out there
Yeah, could
based
be.
on
I
the
don't know.
amount I've traveled. California, it's 87 hovers around $4, give or take.
Yeah.
Again, depending on where you are. Whereas the difference in the kilowatt hours is actually greater than that.
Hmm.
So like my off peak, I think is like 27 cents a kilowatt hour. My on peak is like over 40.
Yeah.
But in some of those states, it's like 11 cents a kilowatt hour, like 24/7.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I forgot what my on peak was, but when I worked it out, it was cheaper to go to like a supercharger than it was to charge at my
yeah.
house
Oh
during
yeah.
the
No,
peak.
I mean, I do that all the time. Like if I had a brain fart and forgot to top off my car and I need to drive somewhere a little further away, I'll look at my watch and like look at the time of day. and thankfully there's a supercharger station literally walking distance from my house. I'll just charge there because it's like it's cheaper for me to charge there than to charge
Yeah,
on peak.
that
So
crazy.
anyway,
That's-
so yes, you will see some fuel savings pretty much across the board, no matter where you live, but it will vary um, considerably. Um, so my total cost of ownership to date, uh, non-fuel, and again, this is was about $5,600. Okay. Um, and then including fuel came to about 13,500. Um, so one thing I didn't think about this, maybe I should have put this into offset. I didn't include the tax credit I got for this, which at the time was 3,750. So it was half. The 7,500 was the
Mhm.
top one. Then it kind of phased down. So I got 3,750. So, if you want to factor that in or not, but all in, not including the tax credit, this is cost of vehicle, fuel, maintenance, everything. I'm at a little under $58,000 over 6 years. So there you have it.
Yeah. So it's not. So you put in. Wait. So you say year to date, 13. So you've got in our little show notes for reference, average cost of operation of a car is 12 to 13,000 a year. When I looked that up, because I was like, that's kind of bogus. It's not, but it includes insurance and registration in on that.
So, okay. So on that point, it may be about on par if
Yeah.
you were to throw in insurance.
And especially if you, like me, I buy used, I take liability only insurance. My insurance will be less. If you
Mhm.
buy a new car and you finance it, even if you don't, it's
I
probably
still
it's
I
probably
still have
best
a
to get
high.
comprehensive on a
Yeah,
newer
I
car.
still have comprehensive on mine, even though I'm no longer financing it.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I was able to find an insurance company that could offer me a better rate than what I had previously. I think I'm trying to think. I think for the year, I think maybe I'd spend about 3 grand on insurance.
Wow. Yeah.
Um,
No, it
so I
it
mean, if you
really
were to factor that in, that would probably raise the total
insurance
amount.
has got nothing to do with EVs necessarily,
Yeah.
but it really is a what are you comfortable with? I'm comfortable
Mhm.
with I've got a car, I've got a Yukon, it's old. If I get into a fender bender and it's my fault and it doesn't demolish the car, I
Mhm.
can go and buy a Suburban similar model for probably 1,500 bucks with a blown engine and just
Mhm.
scavenge the parts that I need. Take the front clip, replace it on my car. I'm
Yeah.
I'm willing and able to do that work. So I am willing to take the money savings
Yeah.
from full comprehensive to liability and know that one day I'm going to screw up, get into a car accident. I'm going to spend
Yeah.
a weekend rebuilding a car. With a new car, you can't really do that. And
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Teslas, like there is no cheap Model 3 that you can just go and buy for $1,000 somewhere.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Although the used prices on them are, I mean, you can get them for below 20 now.
yeah, but
In
it's not like
fairly decent shape. Yeah.
if I needed doors, a fender, and a hood for my Yukon, I can go and buy a Suburban for a thousand
Yeah. It's
bucks
pretty
with a
much
blown engine and
interchangeable.
transmission, and I
Yeah.
can change these things out and then just sell the leftover car for scrap. That is a doable thing. With EVs, in most cases, it's just not the case. Like
Hmm. Hmm.
a modern EV, anyway, you're looking, like you said, they're reasonable, but you just buy a new car at that point.
Hmm.
You'd
Hmm.
spend the 20,000, 15,000, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm seeing Model S's drop down. It's been a little while since I looked, but some of the older ones, like they're getting down to my territory, which
Yeah.
is
But I
scary.
mean, personally, I mean, I wouldn't buy a Tesla, I'd say older than like 2018. But
Oh, what's the fun in that? You need old,
well,
old.
I don't know. Well, old. I mean, I've heard a lot of stories about like 300,000 mile plus Model S's. So they'll still run and they're still
Yeah.
fine, but it's like there are some issues when in terms of like parts availability or like anyway. So yeah, I mean, to your point, if I were to factor in insurance, it might be about par with the average, but you will see savings, I think, in terms of maintenance, in terms of fuel. Insurance can vary.
Did you include in here
Fuel
your
costs can,
hardware
yeah.
3 update?
Oh no, no, maybe I should have.
Well, I was gonna say because that was a big ticket item.
Well,
You did the
because
hardware 3 from 2.5 to 3, so you could try out FSD.
yeah, which I
And
did for a while, and then they
yeah,
said, "Oh, guess what? We're not supporting that anymore." So,
yeah.
so
Sorry.
I mean, that was discretionary, as were the
Yeah.
puddle lights. I mean, if I
So
was going to do that, maybe I shouldn't have included the
yeah,
puddle lights.
I
But
mean, I like that you included these things, but at the same time, like I don't remember what the hardware 3 cost was, but it wasn't
a grand, it
insignificant.
was a
Um,
$1,000.
$1,000. That's not actually that bad considering,
No,
if you were going to use FSD. It just turns out that you got it and you were like, I don't drive enough.
yeah, and
Uh,
right after, no, I did the free trial because it came with like a 30-day free trial
yeah,
after you did the upgrade. It was fun. It was kind of a party trick. It was kind of ooh ah, but it wasn't like a game changing. Like, wow, I have to have this.
yeah,
It was like, it's cool, but it's not so cool. I'm going to pay $10 a month in perpetuity for.
yeah. Well, and
Um,
you should be said, you work from home.
yeah.
So like I've got a friend that got a Mach E and he did the Blue Cruise, whatever,
Hmm.
and he was driving at the time, he was driving in to Burbank long distance
Hmm.
and he loved that. Like
Hmm. Hmm.
he went from working from home to having this long commute and he was like, this is game changer. This is like
Hmm.
absolutely changed his life getting that car with some kind of autonomous system, that worked on the freeway. So I could totally see if you were commuting, like when I was super commuting, when I was doing 90
Hmm.
miles each way through LA, that would have changed the way I operated,
Hmm.
is something like a self-driving system. So it would have been worth it. In your case, I think I think you're
So,
right. It was a
and
party
and
trick.
also I misspoke. It's about $100 a month for the subscription
Yeah, 10 seems too
for the
cheap.
service. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, it was $10. I'd say sure. Why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah, 100 bucks
But
a year
yeah,
for a
hundred
party trick's
bucks.
not bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
$100 a month though. I was like, not worth it.
Yeah.
So anyway, is what it is. Uh, so so interestingly, according to Recurrent, I was surprised by this. If this is true, they're claiming the battery capacity in my car is only 50 kilowatt hour, which is tiny.
And it was supposed to be, I mean, Tesla doesn't say,
Yeah, yeah, they're kind of cagey
but it
about
was,
this. But
wasn't it generally agreed on that it was 60?
60 or like 55, I don't know. SR Plus was known to have the smallest battery.
Now,
Um,
is this 50
Usable
because
or
it's usable or because of degradation?
again,
Uh,
don't know.
okay.
Um, so let's. I mean, I'd say on the high side, maybe new with maybe 60. I was I'm thinking more like 55, 57. So that's still on the small side because typically the newer EVs I'd say are like 70, 80 kilowatt hour bigger, even for kind of entry level models. So
What's your mileage, your range gone from and
oh,
to?
it's gone down quite a bit. I mean, new the EPA rating was 240. Soon after I got it, it went down to 214. Then after that, like 205. I think my current max range charged to 100% is about 190. So, I mean, you're looking at about a 20, little give or take about a 20% degradation from new.
Isn't it
Um,
like 30% is where they consider
yeah,
it's
30% you're eligible for warranty, battery replacement or warranty. So if mine degrades, a significant amount more, then I could go in, and I think the cutoff is 70 or 150,000 miles. So um, within the next 8 to 12 months, if my battery kind of goes kaput, I could say, hey, I want a new one.
Yeah. No, you're not going to
Um,
hit the mileage, you're going to hit the timeline.
yeah, I'm gonna probably time out rather than hit the mileage.
Yeah.
Um, and honestly, if it gets to 70% out of warranty, out of the battery warranty coverage, I'm probably just gonna get another car at that point.
Yeah.
Because I think probably the replacement costs will probably be about what the car's worth, I would
You
guess.
should, right when the warranty is about to go up. I don't know how they work this degradation thing, but you should take it to
Mhm.
a service center and have them test.
Do a battery test.
Yeah. And just see
Yeah.
if it, like, if you can
And
snake in.
they might voluntarily say, "Oh, well, you're right on the edge, so we'll." I
Yeah.
mean,
Because
Again,
I think that
Tesla's
would
not a
make,
charity, but
yeah, it would make a huge difference in
yeah.
resale value, I'd imagine, if you've got a brand new
And also
battery
too, the
pack.
replacement one for my car would be an LFP. Um, so a little heavier, but better capacity, better longevity. And I think I might have brought this up before. Supposedly, with the retrofit LFP packs on the SR Pluses, they actually replace the rear springs because the LFP pack's a little heavier. Um, so that I'd get new rear springs
Oh, it's worth it just
along
for
with the
that.
pack. So anyway, honestly, if I were able to get the LFP pack under warranty, I'd probably consider keeping this for another 3 to 5 years.
That's so I was gonna say that
Yeah.
is I could see you getting the new battery pack and being like, the thing with these cars is like everything's an upgrade. So like you were getting bored of the car, which is I think probably why you got the Hardware 3 upgrade, is
Hmm.
because it was you're not excited by the car anymore. You needed something new. And then you do this update and you're
Hmm.
like, oh, it's this new toy. The puddle lights was, I mean,
Uh-huh.
that's not an EV thing, whatever, but
Yeah.
it's just another thing. I feel like if you went in and they were like, oh, yeah, your battery's degraded as 31% or whatever, we'll get you a new battery. You'd get it and you'd be like, woo, I've got an LFP. And you'd be like wearing LFP shirts all of a sudden. And you'd be like, this
Yeah. No,
nerd.
I mean,
It's something that's kind of fun. Meanwhile, like my Yukon, when the transmission blew up on it, I put a new transmission in. I
oh
wasn't like
God,
in
right.
love with the car again. It didn't like bring any joy to my life. Like
Yeah.
I've now got a car that I can continue to drive, but it seems like with EVs, it's almost like when things break, it's not a one for one like, oh, well now it's back to the way it was. It's like it at least in your case, it got better.
No, the
You
LFP pack would be a definite upgrade in terms of capability, longevity, and the motors. I mean, earlier on, some of the early Model S's and early Model 3s had some motor failures, but there are plenty of cases of Tesla's 200,000 plus miles on the original motor.
yeah.
So my concern is not about the motor, it's about the battery pack. And if I could get it replaced under warranty, I mean, I could see myself easily putting 150,000 miles on this. So, and it'd probably still be fine.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's no you don't have like weird squeaks, rattles, you don't have like window issues, doors won't unlock.
no, I mean,
Did I just touch on a topic
no,
there?
I mean, there is a little more. I mean, maybe I've just become acclimated to it. I thought it did had a lot of wind noise when I first got it, but that's because everything else is so quiet. You notice other noises more, whereas with other cars, you'd hear the engine more, you'd hear other like mechanical noises more,
Yeah.
and now with an EV, you just hear everything else. But
Yeah.
anyway, TLDR, I don't regret buying it. I've really enjoyed the ownership experience for the most part. Relatively low maintenance costs. EV driving experience, instant torque, just smooth power. Big fan of that.
And that
Yeah.
actually, okay. I, man, we're already nearly at like 50 minutes on this, but
All right.
um, that is a point that
Mhm.
everybody talks about the performance or
Mhm.
ludicrous mode or
Mhm. Mhm.
all this
I
stuff.
don't have any of those.
And your car is still fast and fun.
Oh yeah. No, it's
The
a blast to
the
drive.
idea that you need to go 0 to 60 in 2 seconds or 3.5 seconds is just not, it's bogus. That,
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna rain on anyone's parade. It's cool. But again, it's kind of like the
but the idea that you
HW3. It's a
have
party
to.
trick.
Yes.
Yeah.
It,
No, it's fine. And mine's plenty quick.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm perfectly happy with the performance. So.
I would not hesitate to buy a vehicle like yours with that acceleration.
Hmm.
Like that, it's plenty fun,
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, let's carry on. So you buy it again,
I'd
other
buy it
than
again. I'm not.
you're not going to when it
Well,
comes time to buy
well,
another
no. I
one.
mean, so I'm kind of curious about the low cost Model Y. They haven't officially revealed it yet. Um, the one thing I do miss is prior to this I had a Sonata, which is a sedan, but I've had several hatchbacks, and I really love the versatility of hatchbacks. And I was really disappointed when they unveiled the Model 3 that it just had the conventional little trunk.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh man, I was hoping for like the Model S, a lift back with a large opening, large cargo area. Didn't have that. That's essentially what the Model Y is, little bigger, a little taller, but a lot more cargo versatility. Um, So it's probably, if the low cost Model Y is convincing enough, maybe that. I'm kind of holding out for the Rivian R3 if they stay in business long enough, which I hope they do. Um, but there are a lot of other, there's the EV6, there's the Ioniq 5, there's, I mean, even it doesn't particularly excite me, but I'd probably look at it when it comes out, the new Bolt. I mean,
Hmm.
so there's a lot more options now than when I first got mine.
Yeah, I was
Um,
gonna say, what did you cross shop into? That's what you cross shop now. What did you cross shop in 2019/2018 when you were looking for your car?
I really nothing. I really wanted a Model 3 at that point. And
But
that was
there
like,
wasn't like any EV that you would.
well, what okay, so when I bought my Sonata, the car I had previously, I kind of wanted a Volt with a V.
Uh-huh.
Um, but it was such early days when they were first coming out. The availability was kind of sketchy, and dealers wanted markups and all that. And they said, "Oh, well, we can't guarantee delivery till this date or blah blah blah." And I was like, "I'm not willing to wait. I want something now."
Yeah.
So I went ahead and got the Sonata. So, but if I could have gotten one, I might have gotten a Volt at that time, which is, you know, 2011.
Yeah.
But
It's just interesting that like you go to 2018, 2019 when you were shopping
mhm,
for your Model 3, and the only choice then, I mean, because you're only going back like 6 years.
mhm.
Your only choice then, if you wanted a modern EV of that price range and size and
It was
everything,
basically that or the Bolt.
yeah, or I guess the Leaf. Uh,
Yeah,
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 exactly. So, so what I'm saying is, you really only had that one car,
yeah.
and now
We
you're
got tons of
like,
choices. Yeah.
oh, well, I'd consider this. I cross shop this, and I still like this, but I definitely go and try this. It's crazy that that's 6 years.
Mhm. Yeah.
We have gone from an industry where there was a leader and then
A
one
bunch
or
of
two
also
other
rans.
cars that
Yeah.
you would you go and okay, humor me. I'll go and I'll look at them.
Hmm.
But now you'd
You have a lot
probably
of pretty compelling options.
you'd
Yeah.
probably sit there with your list and get it down to three or four
Hmm.
legitimate. I could see myself in any of these three or four cars
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
everything that's on the market. They're in your price range. They're available. They get the range you want. They're
Hmm.
NACS. They're
Hmm.
all of this stuff. It checks every box.
Hmm.
And to go from like I don't know, that's crazy to me. It's like
Yeah.
you said when we launched this blog and before the podcast, it was late 2019,
Hmm.
and you were like, oh, just wait, like 3 years, like the world is changing.
You
It's
you were the
crazy.
skeptic. You were like,
I
eh.
had no idea. This wasn't
Yeah.
even on my radar. And I was like, all right. And
You're
you
like,
kind of
sure, we'll
convinced
do
me.
it.
I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, if we're going to do something, we're both in the automotive industry. If you're going to do something on the cutting edge. Don't do what
Yeah.
everybody else is doing. So that was how this all came about. And sure enough, like it's crazy. That just stays
Hmm.
in my mind. Like if
Hmm.
you just because we were sitting there at like that Mediterranean place or whatever it was, and that was what you said this, and I
Over
was just
lunch. Yeah.
like, oh, Ed,
Oh, Ed, you're just so naive and idealistic.
yeah,
Yeah.
like the automotive industry is not going to change that much that fast. And
Yeah.
holy cow,
Yeah.
you know,
That's crazy.
it
In a few
is it is
a few
wild.
more years, I think we're going to see a lot more changes. I think I stand by this. I think 2030 is going to be the year when the dam is breached with Chinese brands in the U.S. I think they're coming, whether we're prepared or we like it or not.
So you're saying 2030 Chinese cars, 2035 flying cars. When do we get those?
Well, I mean, they already have a flying car in China, but it's, anyway, who knows? There's the whole thing about FAA approval and all that. That's a whole other
Whatever.
episode.
Whatever.
Anyway,
Just do
so
it.
that's my wrap up on my Model 3 ownership experience. Your mileage, your costs may vary. Um, do your homework, but you'll save in some areas, you'll pay more in others. But I don't regret it. I've enjoyed the ownership experience. I'd buy another EV. I'd even buy another Tesla. I know, but
Yeah.
despite everything, but
Yeah,
there you have it.
it'll be interesting in the next few years because my Kia's getting up there in mileage, and I imagine I've got a few more years, and then that's when I'll be used EV shopping
Mhm.
for something like your car.
Yeah. And again, you have a ton of options now.
Yeah.
low mileage, relatively low cost, still assuming battery health pretty good. So, and
It's
you have
just
240-volt service at your house. So
yeah, I'm set up here. Like I am all equipped for it. I
yeah,
just am missing the car.
so there you go. So that'll be our episode in 2026. Phil gets his first EV.
To be fair, I've driven them.
Yeah.
I've tested them. Just
Yeah,
don't
but to live
own
with
one.
one.
Yeah, I just haven't lived with one for an extended period of time. And I keep looking at renting one. Every trip, every work trip I go on, I look at renting one. And every one of those, I look at, man, I don't want to be that guy
Charging. Yeah.
that is like, all my coworkers are like, we'd be there by now. We'd be there by now.
Yeah.
Because when you get a new vehicle, you go to an area that you don't know, everything's difficult.
Yeah.
Everything's difficult. Anyway, everything we talked about will be in the show notes. You know how many links that's going to be? 0, because it's all.
Well, there's
linked
one I did.
brain. Did you?
So, well, no, I did this a while back. I kind of did. This is on my personal channel, kind of a summary of my ownership experience. If you want to watch it, it's there.
There you go. That link will be in the show notes. Nothing else will. We got other things, but mostly, whatever. YouTube.com/@the-walk-car,
At the Walk Car.
if I can speak anymore. We've got, I keep not promoting it, but thewalkcar.com/store. That's still up there. I just haven't done anything with it. It needs to go away. The YouTube.
Big beautiful tariffs.
Yeah, it's just life just became difficult at that point. So what else do
Next
we
couple
have?
weeks are going to be busy for both of us for
Yeah,
different reasons.
we have no idea what we're doing,
We
much
might
like in
take a
life.
break. First time in 4+ years.
Yeah, if we do, it'd just be for like 1 week because we were just looking at our schedules and we're like, I don't know. But it depends. Whatever. We'll figure that out. If there's an episode, guess what? Like and subscribe on YouTube and it'll just pop up. And if you
Yes.
do, we're on all the other players for podcasts. If you subscribe there, it just shows up. If we take a week off, you won't even know it. Other than it won't be the chore that you have to listen to, as somebody called us a while back. Man, we're getting a lot of mileage out of that negative comment. That was great.
All right. So we'll see you in a week or maybe not.
All right. See ya.
Bye.